Greetings, programs. This is John at tunevision.tv with a free Flash ActionScript 3 video tutorial. This lesson demonstrates how to put a Chromeless FLV player under a mask in your Flash application using either a loop function or a replay function. You can download the source materials for this lesson, including an SWF and an FLA, all at developphp.com. Just go to the Flash section and look for Lessons by tunevision, download the source pack, and get started. On my desktop I have a folder called Replay. Inside that folder I have an FLV called Winston, and in that same folder I have an SWF that's also called Replay. That SWF is calling the FLV for the application. The way this is coded, in order for it to work properly, they have to be stored in the same area. So if you're publishing locally, you probably just want to keep the SWF and the FLV in the same folder as I've done here. And if you're publishing online, you want to have them next to each other on the server. In Flash, I've created a new ActionScript 3 project, and I've set up 4 layers and labeled them. On the first layer, I've already popped in the code, and I'm going to go ahead and talk about that more later. If you're an intermediate or an advanced programmer, you can probably just download the source pack for these materials, adjust the aesthetics, and set up the code to your liking, and you should be good to go. For others, I thought I would go ahead and just draw the elements on these other layers and make it easy for you. Over here on the right, I have the Properties panel open, and if I click on the stage, it'll open up the stage properties. You can see here I have a background color of white, and the stage size is set to 550 by 400 pixels. I have a frame rate of 30 frames per second, and I have it set to that because I want it to be a high rate because we're showing video and I want it to look as clean and fluid as possible. What I'm going to do is go over here and select the layer that's labeled FLV. Then I'm going to take the rectangle tool, and with no stroke and with any construction color, I'm going to go ahead and draw a rectangle. Then I'm going to take the selection tool and click on the rectangle, and that will bring the dimensions of the rectangle up in the Properties panel here. I need to change those dimensions to the exact dimensions of the video that I'm using. How do I know those dimensions? Well, in this case what I've done is I took Adobe Media Encoder and I put the Winston FLV in it, and then I clicked on the Settings button here, and then over here on this Source panel it tells me in the lower left hand corner that the source is 320 wide by 240 high, and that's how I know. So what I'm going to do then is select that rectangle and make it 320 wide by 240 high. Now it's the same size as our video. I'll take that, right click it, convert it to a symbol, and I'm going to call it FLV underscore MC and save it as a movie clip. Then I'm going to go to the instance name and give it that same name, FLV underscore MC. Now I can just lock that layer. I'm going to select the layer labeled Play. I'm going to select a stroke of black and a fill color of gray. Then I'm going to take the pen tool and then just quickly draw a triangle to serve as a play button. I'll take my paint bucket here and fill in the gray. Take the selection tool and select both the stroke and the inner fill. Right click it, convert it to a symbol. In this case we're going to save it as a button, and we'll call it Play underscore BTN. We'll also want to give that the same instance name, Play underscore BTN. And I'm going to double click on it to drill down, and we have an up state, and I want an over and a down state, so I'm going to press F6 twice. Then I'm going to come back to the over state. I'm going to right click on the play button, convert this to a symbol, this time back to a movie clip. You don't have to name it, but I'm going to name it play_over, just so it's easy to identify. And I just wanted to make that a movie clip simply so that we can give it an effect, because it'll open up the filters panel here. And I'll add a filter. We're going to make it glow. We'll give it a light blue and make it a little bigger here, 7 on the blur. And we'll change it to high, and we'll have a nice little blue glow there. Now in the down state, I'm just going to click on that inner gray area and just change it to a darker gray. So now we have 3 states, up, over, and down. Done with that. We'll go back to scene 1, lock that down. Now I just want to make a mask layer. And what I'm going to do is get rid of my stroke again, make that no stroke. I'm going to take a construction color, and I'm going to select the oval tool and just draw an oval here. I'll resize it a little bit to take advantage of my space, but not too big to go past the perimeter of the film. Something like that. And I'll lock that down. Now it's labeled mask, but I need to make it a real mask layer, so I'm going to right click it and select mask. And now the play button is masked. I also want the FLV layer mask, so I'm going to grab that, click it, and drag it up under there like that. And now it's also masked. Now I need to do one more thing here. I'm going to go ahead and drill down to the color on this FLV layer, and I'm going to take the alpha down to 0 to make it transparent. That way it'll be there, but it'll be invisible. We'll go back to scene 1, lock it, and you can see here we just have the play button. So let's just take a look at the script real quick. This is basically just basic FLV code that's been kind of tweaked. Most of this I got from Develop PHP and our buddy Adam, and he has, I think, 3 FLV tutorials. And so I kind of took what he had there and looked at some stuff online and just kind of Frankensteined some stuff together to make it do what I want. Now in part 1 here, we're just doing the basics. We're setting up the stream and setting up the connection and bringing it in, setting up the buffer time and the buffer number. And in this area here, we're declaring the video variable, and we're adding a child to populate it to the stage. So here's where the add child is, and you can see here's the FLV_MC, that instance name that we named for the rectangle. And here's the actual FLV that's putting on that rectangle. Mine's named Winston. Yours would be named whatever you would name yours. And so that's basically how the video plays. It just brings it in and plays it there. Now the replay function is part 2, and here basically we have an event listener for the play button. So when you click it, it just makes it play or replay. And here's the part that's kind of cool. Basically what happens when the video finishes, the net stream stops. Okay, when it gets done, it stops. And then once it stops, we go back in the timeline and we set it to a negative number. How you like that? Okay, and that's what makes this work. So it goes back to this negative number, negative frame 1, and it only works on that. Then in this part here, this is basically where we make the play button visible. It's only visible when the video's stopped. It's actually visible for just a second in the very beginning when it comes on. And you can hide that if you made, say, the play button the same color as the background. Basically, when it stops, the play button becomes visible, and then you can click it, and then it replays. And then when it finishes it, the button becomes visible again, then you can click it and replay it again if you want. So that's how that works. Now, if you wanted to just loop, like let's say you had a commercial or some kind of background visual that you just wanted repeating, then all you would do is activate part 3 here. You would deactivate part 2, and then you would hide your play button or delete it. And that's it. And then this would just loop and loop. So that's all there is. And I guess we should just go ahead and publish it out and make sure that it's working properly. Let's go ahead and do that.
Winston
Alright, so you can see as it finishes there, the play button comes up. If I roll over it, we get that little glow state, and if I click it, it's going to start again. So that's all for now. Thank you for enjoying this lesson. May the code be with you. Be seeing you.